Welcome back to Football Daily, where today we're looking at 10 players who left their clubs at the worst possible time. 10. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Internazionale. The winner of 11 league titles in 4 different countries, Zlatan Ibrahimovic has had a trophy-laden career. But despite his confidence in his own quality, the big Swede has never won the Champions League, though he did come close once. Ibra first went to Italy with Juventus, but swapped the Bianconeri for Inter Milan in the aftermath of the Calciopoli scandal. He excelled at the San Siro, hitting 57 goals in 88 Serie A games, including 25 in 2008-09, his best return at that point. Zlatan was now a superstar, and like all superstars, he attracted interest from Spain. Barcelona struck what is possibly one of the worst deals in football history for Ibra, swapping their star striker Samuel Eto'o and €46 million for him, even though Eto'o was just 7 months older than him. In his 1 year at the Camp Nou, Zlatan won yet another title, but in the meantime Eto'o and the Nerazzurri lifted the League Cup and Champions League trophies, becoming the first Italian side to do the treble. Understandably upset, Ibrahimovic got his own back by joining arch-rivals AC Milan. 9. Diego Costa, Atletico Madrid. An unfancied backup striker who ended up leading Atleti to their first league title in 18 years, Diego Costa was the perfect point man for Simeone's Rojiblancos. Hard-working and tough, Costa scored 27 league goals in 35 league games to bring home the title, and he bagged 8 and 9 in Europe to take Atletico to the Champions League final. His wonder season brought him a £32 million move to Chelsea, and Costa has since won the title twice, hitting 20 league goals on both occasions. But could he have had more? Though pundits predicted Atleti's decline every single season, Simeone rebuilt his team, turning promising youngster Antoine Griezmann into a superstar and reaching another European final 2 years later. Once again they lost, but with a 32-year-old Fernando Torres up front, it's hard not to wonder whether Costa could have made the difference. If he had, he'd have brought Atletico their first Champions League trophy in their history, and put his name next to Simeone's in Colchonero folklore. 8. Paul Scholes, Man United. In 2011, after 676 games and 24 trophies with Man United, Paul Scholes did the dignified thing and retired from football. Though he had won everything with the Red Devils, and though he still had more to give, like Gary Neville before him, he was worried that his performances would no longer be good enough for United. But fast forward 8 months, and Alex Ferguson begged his ginger maestro to get off the couch and return to Old Trafford. Fergie had lost 8 first-team players to injury, and though he had a young Paul Pogba on the bench, he put his faith in Scholes as United ran Man City close for the title, losing out on goal difference on the final day of the season. Scholes ended up staying another year, and winning the Prem for the 11th time, providing Ferguson with a fitting send-off. Both player and coach left for good in 2013. 7. Angel Di Maria, Real Madrid and Man United. In 2013-14, Angel Di Maria was perhaps the best player in the world. As a midfielder/attacker in Ancelotti's 4-3-3, he tackled back, created and blew holes in defences at will, as Real won their fabled La Decima, the 10th European Cup in their history. Di Maria was named man of the match in the final. But Florentino Perez decided to destroy a winning formula, signing James Rodriguez for Los Blancos and shipping Di Maria out to Man United for a club record £59.7 million. Madrid won 2 more Champions Leagues without the Argentinian, while the player found himself drowning in Louis van Gaal's anti-football. He left after a single campaign, joining Paris Saint-Germain. Sadly, Van Gaal departed not long afterwards, and Jose Mourinho took over United. Di Maria had been the Special One's very first signing at Real Madrid, and if the winger had stayed in Manchester, the two might have done something magical together once again. 6. Michael Laudrup, Denmark. If you're Danish, a major trophy comes along once in a blue moon, or more accurately, once in 109 years of international competition. So what a tragedy it was that arguably Denmark's greatest ever player, the midfield genius Michael Laudrup, missed out on the red and white's finest hour. Laudrup had 64 caps by 1990, but 3 games into qualification for Euro 92, he quit the national team over frustration with the coaching staff. And he wasn't entirely wrong. The side missed out on a place at the tournament, but the outbreak of war in Yugoslavia saw the Eastern Europeans ejected from the competition and the Danes given a wildcard spot. And they went on to achieve the most unexpected triumph, beating world champions Germany 2-0 in the final. To make matters worse, Laudrup's brother Brian, who had quit the team along with Michael, made his peace with coach Richard Müller-Nielsen and returned to the squad in time to feature at the tournament. He picked up a medal and the Danish Player of the Year award. Michael, meanwhile, got nothing. 5. Nicolas Anelka, Chelsea. A Champions League winner with Real Madrid, Nicolas Anelka missed out on a second European Cup in 2012 when he left Chelsea. The Frenchman, never known for his sunny temperament, had fallen out of favour at Stamford Bridge, as new boss Andre Villas-Boas sought to rejuvenate the blue squad. Anelka submitted a transfer request in the January window and was offered an escape route and 175k a week by Shanghai Shenhua. But it was to prove a costly mistake. Just 2 months later, Villas-Boas was sacked and caretaker boss Roberto Di Matteo restored the old guard to the lineup, with Terry and Lampard leading a fairy tale charge to the Champions League final. And Le Sulk might well have had a starting berth in the showpiece match, as injuries resulted in 22-year-old left-back Ryan Bertrand starting on the wing. Instead, Anelka finished 9th in the Chinese Super League, and to add insult to injury, Drogba arrived in Shanghai that June with a shiny winner's medal round his neck. 4. Paolo Maldini, Italy. At club level, Paolo Maldini is one of the most decorated players in the modern game. The Italian won Serie A 7 times, the Champions League 5 times, and another 14 cups during a 25-year career spent solely with AC Milan. But unfortunately, he could not match that success in international football. Maldini earned 126 caps for Italy, the third highest tally for the Azzurri, but never won a trophy. He played 120 minutes in the 1994 World Cup final before Italy lost to Brazil on penalties. 6 years later, he captained the team which lost to France in the decisive game of Euro 2000, and finally he retired from the national squad in 2002 at the age of 34, after his 4th World Cup. He really should have persisted, as in 2006, Italy finally won their first tournament since the 1982 World Cup, captained by Fabio Cannavaro. Despite being robbed of its greatest ever member, the Italian defence was impeccable throughout the competition, and Cannavaro won the Ballon d'Or. It really should have been Maldini. 3. Cesc Fabregas, Barcelona. Is it possible to call a man who has lifted the World Cup, 2 European Championships and 3 league trophies unlucky? Cesc Fabregas arrived at Arsenal during their famed invincible season in 2003-04. But didn't feature in a single league game, denying him a Premier League medal. And after years of will he won't he, Fabregas eventually got his dream move back to Barcelona, joining Pep Guardiola's unstoppable winning machine. The Blaugrana had just won their 2nd Champions League under the manager, and another seemed inevitable. But during 3 years at the Camp Nou, Cesc won just a single title and left in 2014, just before Barca achieved the treble. But silverware isn't the only reason Cesc left too soon. During his time in Catalonia, he had to play in the front line, as Xavi and Iniesta continued to defy age in midfield. A year after Cesc had returned to London, Xavi went on his way, and the club has spent the time since looking for a top-class creative midfielder. 2. Mesut Ozil, Real Madrid. Chances are, when Mesut Ozil left Real Madrid for Arsenal, he knew he was passing up more than a few medals. The Gunners hadn't unlocked their trophy cabinet in 8 years, and the only other new players joining them that summer were Mathieu Flamini and Yaya Sanogo. Whoops. But it turned out worse than the German could have ever feared. While he picked up 3 FA Cups in 4 years, a very respectable return, Real Madrid embarked on their most successful period since the 1960s, winning 3 Champions Leagues in the same time frame. They added a league title too, and Ozil's replacement, Gareth Bale, bagged 54 goals and 33 assists in 100 games. The one compensation for Ozil was a World Cup victory in 2014, but it seems a certainty that he'll retire without the biggest prize in the club game. What a shame. 1. Hans-Jörg Butt, Germany and Bayern Munich. Hans-Jörg Butt is one of football's great nearly men. The German keeper played for Leverkusen in the early 2000s, finishing as a runner-up in the Bundesliga and Champions League in 2002, before going to Japan and South Korea for that year's World Cup, where Germany, you guessed it, came runners-up to champions Brazil. In 2008, he switched to Bayern Munich, where he finally got his hands on that all-elusive Bundesliga trophy, but he was still destined for disappointment. Bayern reached the 2010 Champions League final, where they had a chance to win an historic treble, but lost 2-0 to Inter Milan. That same year, Butt quit the German national team after a 3rd place finish at the World Cup. He would miss out on the Mannschafts victory 4 years later. By 2012, Butt had finished on the losing side in a European Cup final for a 3rd time, thanks to Chelsea's heroics, and he retired from professional football at the age of 39. Bayern then proceeded to embark on one of the best seasons in their history, winning the DFB Pokal, the Bundesliga, and the Champions League for the first time in 12 years. If he had just stuck around for one more year, but would have doubled the size of his trophy cabinet.
So we hope you enjoyed that, and if you want to check out more of our videos, then click here on screen. Don't forget to like and subscribe and get on our Snapchat and our Twitter.